6:04, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you, Bree Lynn producing. Starting off your 6 o'clock hour at 72 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge as we broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. We got a lot of legislation to cover today. Adam Knapp from Leaders for a Better Louisiana, Tommy Faucheux, Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association, both slated to join us on that front. We got Baton Rouge Police Chief T.J. Morse in the house. I'm so fired up about this interview. We get to chat with the chief roughly once a month, and we're going to talk drones today and their use within Baton Rouge law enforcement. We got a lot of ground to cover. Of course, we'll have Jeff Crouere later this hour. We'll have Congressman Troy Carter in the 8 o'clock hour. But for now, let's get to it. Top stories and trending. Let's go. Well, the Red Eye, the new email news service put out here in Baton Rouge, not short on hyperbole in this morning's issue. The email headline or the email subject line reads, "Lawsuit could erase St. George." It says in today's issue, a developer files an explosive lawsuit that could make St. George disappear. And the long and the short of it is, I believe the Klein Peters are suing the city. And it has something to do with the incorporation date of the city. I don't know that they can make an entire city disappear. They're the Klein Peters, not David Copperfield. A man identified as Victor Rivas was attacked and injured by an alligator. Oh, yeah, we have a shark alligator rule story. Was attacked and injured by an alligator while trying to escape authorities during a DWI investigation in Jefferson Parish Sunday. Oh, I saw this. Oh, yeah. State police first noticed him driving recklessly on I-10 in Metairie. He hit a concrete barrier, blew out his tires, then took off for St. Charles Parish. While when he got to St. Charles Parish, he was pulled over on the elevated portion of I-310. What? Troopers determined he had shown signs of being impaired. Your boy jumps over the side of the interstate into the swamp. Police caught back up with him on Airline on 61 in St. Charles Parish, walking along the side of the road. When he saw authorities, he ran back into the swamp. This time he was attacked by an alligator. He suffered multiple injuries to his arms and I believe his face as well. He was eventually caught, is facing a stack of charges and, of course, wounds.
My word.
We've got another shark alligator story this morning. This one is a lot more sad, though. 2 people were swimming in Lake Pontchartrain near Lake Terrace on Sunday. One went missing, still has not been found. During the search, authorities, when they did not find the person during the search, but they did come across a 15-foot alligator during their search, and now believe the swimmer may have come in contact with the alligator as well. AG Liz Murrill was inducted into the Louisiana Justice Hall of Fame during the 21st annual Louisiana Justice Hall of Fame ceremony hosted by the Louisiana State Penitentiary Museum Foundation. The hall honors men and women who have served their communities and the state of Louisiana in law enforcement, the judiciary, criminal justice, civil service, and other related fields. A.G. Murrill shares this Hall of Fame class with the legend that is former U.S. Attorney Brandon Freeman. Meta is launching a new skilled trades training program called America's Workforce Academy, with Baton Rouge listed as one of the 4 pilot locations across the country. It is designed to train fiber technicians, welders, plumbers, electricians, and other skilled trade workers to meet what Meta describes as a demand for hundreds of thousands of workers across the country.
Well, Spencer Pratt is now out. Nithya Raman moves into the second slot to take on Karen Bass in the race for Los Angeles mayor this fall.
I mean,
whoa.
Yeah, they were going to keep that election open all the way up until they found enough votes to get him out of there. That said, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. This is how California elections work. It was a process. Nothing shady going on here. Okay. Sure.
Right.
The moment they had the Raman votes, we're done.
Yep.
All right. Sure. That's how it's supposed to work.
thanked her supporters the night of the election. She thought in her head, I'm done.
Yeah, she was done.
I know.
She campaigned for like less than 4 months?
Less than 4 months.
115 days on the campaign trail.
And look, I'm not trying to show any opinionations at all. But when they did that debate, Spencer Pratt shut her down every single time. She had no words to answer any of the questions.
Oh.
So how she's even in the runoff, whatever.
Well, they were that's how it was going to play out. So
yep.
Awesome.
A U.S. Army helicopter crash near the Strait of Hormuz. But President Donald Trump said the 2 crew members aboard were not injured.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, a lot of headlines floating around about that last night.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. And speaking of President Donald Trump, he became the first sitting president to attend an NBA Finals game last night.
Okay. Can we do something? Can we do something at 6:25 that I want to kind of rip on national media for being biased?
Yeah.
I want and I love my news partners over at ABC News Radio, but I want to do something coming up at 6:25 that I found disgusting is not the right word. Just brazen. Something I found brazen yesterday and this morning. I heard it repeated twice. We'll dig into it. Talking about Donald Trump going to the basketball game last night.
And
by the way,
and their remarks very bold, probably.
Well, you'll hear it. We'll do it at 6:25. I'll tell you where to go in Sterlitz.
Okay.
So I didn't have this on the rundown. This is kind of a last second amendment to the rundown, so we'll kind of work this out in real time.
It's interesting.
But there are times where the national media can say something that sounds accurate and be BS at the exact same time. Like 2 things can be true at the same time.
Right.
But the way it's worded can frame everything. And we saw an example of that with Donald Trump going to the NBA, going to the Knicks game, which, by the way, man, Donald Trump, a lifelong Knicks fan. He goes, they lose.
Right. Spurs. Was it 115, 113?
115 to 111.
111.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Which, by the way, we'll talk about. We're not going to talk a whole lot about that because we got recruiting to talk when we do sports. That's coming up next on Talk 107.3 FM. Before we take our first break, let me remind you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. FlyBTR.com, a daily flight to our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Not just D.C. as a whole. I mean, there's 3 different airports around D.C., right? You got Reagan, you got Dulles, and to a lesser extent, you got Baltimore. Some people try to save money by flying into Baltimore and then take the train into town. It's a haul, y'all. It is a hike. You fly into Reagan, I mean, that metro ride is way, way easier. And the airport's right there on the metro line. Daily flight. Leaves out at 7 o'clock, comes home same evening. You don't even have to book a hotel room. If you've got business in our nation's capital, you can take care of it at flybtr.com. And as a reminder, it's not too soon to start looking at your LSU football travel plans. Delta has built out direct flights to Knoxville, to Lexington to see LSU take on Tennessee, LSU take on Kentucky, and they've got some flights if you got friends coming in from away games as well. Flybtr.com. Okay. Can you get Sterlitz open? Go to yesterday at noon, like heads up noon, because it's during the top of the hour news. Fact. John Fleming doesn't exist. Fact. Julia Letlow. Goodness gracious. Where'd it go? No, go right to 12 o'clock. Okay. That's the story. Okay, go to the beginning of that story. That's the story I want. They start with the New York Knicks. Start with that, and that's where we'll run from.
Good morning, Alan.
.616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to check in on a little bit of recruiting, not for this fall, but for the next fall. LSU kept LSU after losing five-star edge rusher commit Jaden Bryant to Miami last week. The Tigers added a flurry of talent to the 2027 class. LSU replaced Bryant with five-star pass rusher KJ Green. Grabbing this from our news partners, the Louisiana Radio Network, by the way. The Georgia native is the second-ranked edge rusher in the class. He had 18 sacks, 40 tackles for loss last season. Andre Champagne of 24/7 Sports says the 6'4", 230-pounder is an elite pass rusher. Cut 16, please.
He's going to be physical at the line of scrimmage. He's really quick off the line, and he's going to get to the backfield. His bread and butter is getting to the quarterback, which is what LSU really likes their edges to do.
LSU also earned a commitment from three-star running back Brennan Lacey over the weekend. Lacey is a 6'1", 187-pound speedster. He's out of Frisco, Texas. He's been very, very quickly moving up the ranks when it comes to recruiting boards. Back to Champagne, he says the only reason he's only a three-star is that he started his high school career out as a wide receiver before moving to the backfield.
He thinks this is going to be a diamond in the rough. And a lot of big teams were after him. Florida, Arkansas, Ohio State, Miami. Those were all three teams that were in it for him. And so he picks LSU after his visit to Baton Rouge this weekend. And the coaching staff really liked the way that they envisioned him and the offense.
Keeping it with the recruiting, four-star wide receiver Cade Cooper committed to the Tigers yesterday. He's 6'3", 192 pounds. He's the 10th ranked prospect in the state of Pennsylvania. Champagne says he will bring some unique traits to a packed receivers room.
He's got a lot of length, and so he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to catch one-on-one passes. He's a pretty polished route runner. He fits Lane Kiffin's offense to a T, and he's not scared of competition. He talked to me last night, and he made it known that, hey, like the more the talent, the better. Lane Kiffin's offenses have been able to have multiple guys that have been able to flourish.
By the way, right now, the 2027 class of 8 commits ranks 22nd in Rivals' industry rankings. And for more on Cade Cooper, I would highly recommend you check out LouisianaSports.net. LouisianaSports.net, revamped, by the way, and looking good. Revamped LouisianaSports.net. Matt Moscona's got a great piece up on Cade Cooper right now. If you want to go, in fact, I believe when I went to bed last night, it was the top story up there. So provided nobody's posted anything in the overnight hours, I doubt they have. Provided nobody's posted anything in the overnight hours, it's still going to be the lead story at LouisianaSports.net. Great piece by Moscona on Cade Cooper. Great. It's a great video. If you click on it, you just watch and hear Scone give you the breakdown. We got the Fox Business Report coming up in just a little bit. I do need to remind you about Matherns. Y'all, if you have not yet checked out the Matherns at Kenilworth, I highly recommend it. If for no other reason, the local products. specifically towards the back of the area, back of the store. When you go back by all the butcher's area, they've got a great section of A-Bear specialty meats. A-Bear specialty meats, a fantastic Louisiana outlet for specialty meats. If you're firing up the grill of the season, get something unique, get something original, get something delicious at Mathern's. That was yesterday's Mathern's I just made up.
I was wondering, I was like, wait, I love the new website. This is party. The little ticker at the top, I love it.
Yeah, I stopped going to the website because there were so many pop-up ads.
Right.
But I think they've gotten rid of them.
Yeah, I don't have any. There is a pop-up ad, but it's Moscona at the bottom of a video of him, of the story, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It's not just like a...
Yeah, I just... Kim's in this morning. Alan's in this morning. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, boo. Do what? I didn't see everybody. They haven't commented yet, but I know my wife's in there. So good morning.
Are you back next Friday?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I want to take this Friday off or next Friday, but I'm just making sure you're back.
This Friday's on V Smokehouse. I can't remember who's next Friday.
I'm trying to get all the boys and stuff done on one day.
Okay.
Make it easy.
Yep.
Jennifer, good morning, Brian. Did you know that KTTV has picked up over 45,000 bags of garbage in the last 5.5 years?
That's pretty incredible. Job well done, Jennifer. Oh, shoot. I got to do traffic. All right, heading back to the traffic center. Not a whole lot going on to start off your morning. Interstate wise, we're looking really good throughout the city, with one exception. You know what that exception is. It's 12 westbound. You're going to find some minor congestion from Range Avenue up to the Amy River. And then the congestion is going to pick up a little bit heavier when it's I-12 westbound from the river, actually approaching O'Neill Lane. It's actually going to be stop and go at this point. I-12 westbound near O'Neill Lane. Picks back up again, then slows back down near Sherwood, then picks back up again all the way through the 10-12 merge, and 10 through the city is looking good. 10 coming in from Ascension Parish is looking good, as it is coming back across the river on I-10 eastbound. Now, surface streets, we do need to look out for an accident that's in the roadway. Sherwood right near I-12. It's Sherwood Forest right near I-12. I'm trying to zoom in to get a better look at what side of the interstate it's on, because I've got it on the board but not on the map. But the board is showing me Sherwood at I-12. We've got it's not showing up on the map. But there is an accident if Sherwood is part of your normal commute. If you hop on the interstate at Sherwood, you might want to be on the lookout for that to start off your morning. That's your look at traffic from the Talk 173 Traffic Center. 625, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Let me take a quick moment to remind you about Guarantee Health Solutions. GuaranteeHealth.com is the website, GuaranteeHealth.com. How would you like for your medical office to have the kind of relationship with your patients that's closer to the way that a hotel treats its guests? This is what Guarantee Health Solutions is all about. If you go to GuaranteeHealth.com, look up their 4 pillars of how they do business. Rachel Fricke came up with Guarantee Health Solutions because she went through a terrible battle with, a medical battle with her mother. I believe it was cancer, and everything was just so cold and sterile and transactional. And there was no bedside manner to the whole thing. There was no relationship building to the whole thing. And these are very vulnerable moments. When you're going through it on the medical front, it's the worst time of your life. If your doctor's office, if your medical practice, it doesn't matter if it's an urgent care or a primary care or a specialist, whatever the case might be, if you are taking care of your patients to the level of building relationships with them, that's going to grow your business overall. And this is what Rachel focuses on over at Guarantee Health Solutions. If you want to learn more, visit GuaranteeHealth.com. All right, I teed this up and said I wanted to kind of go in on this a little bit. We don't talk national politics here very often. I make it as rare as is humanly possible because it is by its very nature divisive. It's by its very nature built to have an us versus them mentality, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. And it sucks. When you follow national politics, you find more reasons to hate your neighbor than love your neighbor. When the truth of the matter is, there's a million reasons on the opposite side to love those around us. I know that's such a Pollyanna view of the world. I get it. I understand. But I don't believe that we were put here to hate each other or find reasons to hate each other. So when we do, but there are times where we will talk national politics. And yesterday, it irked me, and I don't know why it irked me, but Donald Trump went to the basketball game last night. He went to go see the Knicks and Spurs last night. And he became the first U.S. president to attend an NBA Finals game. And if I'm not mistaken, was he the first to go to a Super Bowl as well? I probably should have done all the research on this, but this sprung up within the last little bit. We pivoted on this because there's something I wanted to point out. Okay, he likes going to the games, and I don't think the president shouldn't be allowed to go to the games. Now, it's a big deal when a president goes anywhere. It's going to change the nature of the event, but I think it's pretty cool that if you get the president in the room, it's like now you went to the game that the president went to. Sure, it took you an extra 15, 20 minutes to get through the gate, but now you did that. You were there for that night, right? I think that's a pretty cool part of the whole equation. But obviously, if there's any kind of hassle at all, if there's any change to the protocol, if someone moved your cheese, then you're going to be mad about it. And that's the way it was framed when ABC News reported on this at noon yesterday.
The New York Knicks watch party outside Madison Square Garden is canceled tonight for Game 3 of the NBA Final because President Trump is planning to attend the game, says the NYPD. ABC's Sherry Preston.
Agent
we don't have to go into the whole thing, but you heard the story right there, right? That's the headline. That's the news. The watch party outside of Madison Square Garden is canceled. Why? Blame Donald Trump. That's why. Well, that's not entirely true. The truth of the matter was the watch party was moved 8 blocks. 8 whole blocks to Bryant Park. 8 blocks away from Madison Square Garden. That's where the new watch party is. So, I mean, if you're watching with a crowd of fellow New Yorkers outside and you get the big screens going and everybody's wearing blue and orange and everybody's loving on Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, does it really matter if you're exactly outside the building or 8 blocks away? It's 8 blocks. All the reporting on it was the party was canceled. The watch party was canceled. Not one person out there said the watch party was moved. Just relocated. Had to be pushed a little bit further back. The watch party still happened, regardless of location. The watch party went on just fine. And it actually went on with a little bit more peace than the last watch party they had. So, I don't know. That just irks me. That could change the nature of a story. When you change the wording of a story like that, canceled due to Trump. or move because the Secret Service has a lot of protocols. Those two phrases have completely different meanings and completely changed the outcome. I don't know. Maybe I'm going off on nothing. I do know we need a break, though. We got news, traffic, and weather coming up. When we get back on the other side of the break, Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, going to join us. Looking to get caught up with Jeff about a bunch of different things. There's just so much going on in New Orleans. We'll talk to him next. Right now, here's ABC News. Yeah. And while I just did a segment defending Donald Trump, we need to do a segment ripping on Elon Musk, because I don't know if we have these screwworm problems if Doge doesn't come through and just starts firing scientists left and right.
Oh, gas is starting to go down. Have you noticed it?
Yeah.
Troy, you just come to expect mainstream media is going to tilt stories to match what they perceive as pop culture. When everything is wrong, nothing is wrong. Who are you going to believe in a real crisis?
No, that's my point. See, that's my point. Is the squeeze worth the juice, or is the juice worth the squeeze? Whatever the phrase is every time you do something like that, you erode trust. You erode trust in the general public.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Hey, we're going to be like 1 minute, okay?
Oh. .636 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Let me take a quick moment before we get to Jeff Crouere and remind you about Industry Makes. IndustryMakes.org is the website. IndustryMakes.org. Every time you see a protest about anything going on up and down the river, and there are so many of them, we see them all the time, right? From the Descendants Project to Rise St. James, to all the groups who just come out of the woodwork. Anytime more jobs are added, anytime your neighbor's mortgage gets paid, there's a protest. Well, where is the return serve? Who is it actually speaking up for the job makers and the product makers? That's what industrymakes.org is. A unified voice speaking up for industry, breaking through the noise, and giving you actually the real statistics, myth busting, if you will, specifically when it comes to that myth of Cancer Alley. If you want to learn more, visit industrymakes.org. It is time for us to head down to New Orleans. Jeff Crouere is the host of Ringside Politics, joins us about this time every Tuesday. How are you, man?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing great. Good morning.
Good morning. Want to start off with something that has zero concern to either one of us. I was just going off on this in the last segment. I very rarely step outside of Louisiana to talk politics from somewhere else, but there's no way this Los Angeles mayor's race isn't on everybody's radar at this point. What were your takeaways when you heard about the pivoting, the shifting, the moving, and the numbers, and then all of a sudden it's over with? Now we go to the runoff.
Well, it's not surprising because I don't know how many times we've seen congressional races that in California were close. Republicans maybe had a little bit of a lead, but as the counting continued, the Democrats would inevitably win. And it just happens over and over again. So this was another case. In the governor's race, it was a little different. Steve Hilton had a bigger cushion. He was able to get into the runoff, even though Tom Steyer closed the gap. Not enough. But in this case, the third place, Ms. Rahman,
right,
was so far back on election night, she gave a concession speech.
Right.
And she cried. So she thought it was over. But it wasn't. So she got more votes in the quote-unquote mail-in process of the counting post-election day than Karen Bass. So she got like 40% in one Bass, and Bass only got like 33%, and she was leading. But Spencer Pratt was down at like 18%. So it's a sad situation. I think a lot of people agree with me that the process is corrupt in California. You give everybody a ballot. You register anybody who walks into a DMV. We've got California leading the nation in giving driver's license and registrations to illegal immigrants. People in the country illegally are getting driver's ed, getting commercial driver's licenses, and we go through the process. They register you to vote. There's no check for citizenship, no check for ID, no check for anything, and you're on the voter rolls.
Right.
And they will not submit their voter rolls to be examined by the DOJ, where other states have. Louisiana has. So you've got a very flawed process there. And then I don't like the universal mail-in ballots. I don't like the fact they're accepting ballots for 7 days after the election. That to me is illegal. And Supreme Court may soon rule that you cannot accept mail-in ballots after election day. They got a case right before them right now.
And let's hope so. Just because it only makes sense, Jeff. If you value your vote, if your vote is sacred, as everyone in a democracy or a representative republic should believe, if your vote is sacred, then yeah, get your damn vote in on time. Show up on election day. But I'm not as hard line on that as a lot of folks are. I understand that there's folks that can't get themselves to the polls. Whether you're talking about, those who are proudly serving our nation or those who have served our nation and are cooped up in a bed because of it. Like, I get all that,
right?
But get it in on time. And,
right.
when you're taking the ACT and they say pencils down, it's pencils down.
and then there's the problem ballot harvesting.
Also a question.
Where you can go around and collect all kinds of ballots from people. Mm-hmm. And, the question is, are the harvesters filling out the ballots? Are the people being coerced to fill out their ballots the quote right way? I mean, that's just another thing that I think is a real problem in California.
And they're saying that the claims of fraud are baseless. I want to know what is a base then? If someone getting 4 times more votes in the mail-ins than they got on election day, and even those mail-ins didn't really start to stack up until the last 2 days of counting those. Like, at what point does an alarm go off and say this is a base? It is no longer baseless. You've got ridiculous numbers coming in all at the last second. At what point does that become a real reason to give it a second look?
Well, and that's what the U.S. Attorney is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're investigating right now, and we'll see if they come up with any charges. It's going to be tough to prove. It's going to be tough to be able to bring a case, but hopefully they'll be able to find something. I mean, this has been going on for so long. I think the best way out of this is some kind of a national law, the Supreme Court decision that'll limit the damage here. And we'll see. Until then, I don't think anything is going to be done by the Supreme Court that'll be retroactive to be able to change anything that's happening there now. It'll just be going forward a way that we, don't go through this shenanigans again, because this has been outrageous. I mean, Spencer Pratt, and here's another way to know that it's fraudulent. Polls, in my opinion, in many cases, undercount the Republican. But in the last poll that was done in LA, Spencer Pratt had taken the lead. It was a little bit, but a lead over Karen Bass.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're to believe that he came in third.
Right.
That all those polls were just so way off. And that's just another reason to question the results.
We're talking with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. We chat roughly every Tuesday. Let's pivot and bring it back home a little bit. There's something on New Orleans' calendar this weekend that I'm always just a little curious about. Apparently Pride Fest is this weekend. There's a lot of festivals that go on in New Orleans that garner national, if not international attention. How big is this one? Like, how many people come to town for Pride Fest?
I mean, I think this is over the past decade grown. That's become more of an event.
Mm-hmm.
We have Southern Decadence. The French Quarter is known for being very LGBTQ friendly.
Yes.
And, this is certainly something that's going to attract a big crowd. You're going to have lots of marchers, lots of, parade goers. So, I mean, what the French Quarter folks will say is it's just another event. It's just another way to, bring people to the city and get people here for a time of the year where it's hot,
right? Where
you don't have, a lot of other festivals going on. And it's not normally our best season. Now we're starting hurricane season. It's officially begun. So, any kind of event that can bring in people, the merchants are going to say it's good.
Oh, no, I'm not hating on it at all. Get the tourism dollars and bring the folks in, and it's celebration of their lifestyle, absolutely. Celebration of who they are, absolutely. I was just curious as behind the numbers. I didn't because you, like you mentioned, there's also Southern Decadence Fest, which feels like kind of a repeat of the same festival.
Well, yeah, and this has got the floats. You're going to have, from what I understand, 1,000 people marching in this. So it's going to be a little different type of a celebration than Southern Decadence. But again, it just goes to show you the variety of different events that we have down here and the ways that people are attracted to New Orleans. I mean, it's, it's all part of our tourism. I mean, it's the number one sector in our economy.
No, absolutely. It is the lifeblood of New Orleans economy, and to a lesser extent, the trickle down for the rest of the state of Louisiana. We all make money off it. So, hey, we got oh goodness gracious, we got 1 minute left.
Yeah.
What's the latest on the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff?
There are people that are calling for him to resign.
Mm-hmm.
He has been in sort of hot water before because, there have been other reports of him, acting up, drinking too much, that sort of thing. But this goes far beyond anything that's happened before. So this was a guy that was, sort of online critical of him. So he sees him, pulls him down, grabs him by the neck, starts beating and kicking on him. And then he had to have, people pull him off and then arrested by the Attorney General's office. So this is a huge embarrassment to St. Tammany. And certainly I think the sheriff, is either going to resign at some point or finish out his term. I don't see him running again and winning because this has been such a big brouhaha.
I mean,
the gentleman that he got into the fight with is someone who's been very critical of him for years, and maybe said some things online that were inappropriate. But you're an elected official. You represent the parish. You don't act like that. You've got to act in a way that is respectful toward your citizens. So even though I think a lot of people realize the guy was a provocateur, the sheriff fell into his trap by doing what he did, and it's just brought a lot of embarrassment to St. Tammany. Well,
I mean, yes, on the one hand, but on the other, this is the second sheriff in a row that's going down hard.
Well, exactly. And it's not just that. I mean, we've had other positions where we've had people, be, from the mayor of Mandeville to, an assessor to all
wait,
other...
which mayor of Mandeville? I missed that one.
Eddie Price. I mean, we're going back years.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I grew up over there. So like the spillover from my generation into today, there's still some names that pop up. And yeah, Eddie Price was one of those names. I forgot all about.
What about Walter Reed? The former DA.
Yep. I tell you what, looking back, my word.
Long history. And when I moved to St. Tammany, I'm like, wow, this is a bastion of good government. And then I lived there and then I realized, not so much.
No, and it was I grew up there in the late 80s, early 90s. So that was the peak of St. Tammany being St. Tammany for sure. So yeah, back even before Jack Strain, that was back when Toogie's was the spot on Boston Street in Covington. So in the meanwhile,
it has grown. It's unrecognizable from where it was during those days, Brian.
No, totally. He's Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. You got a show coming up, man. Always appreciate the time. Going to be off next week. I'm taking some time off, so we'll skip next week and get back at it after that.
All right. Enjoy the break.
Will do. Sir. Absolutely. We're coming up on 650 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, which means it's just about time to check your money now. Before we hit your money now, let me tell you about 180 Pros. 180pros.com is the website. 180pros.com. When you have 180 Pros, you don't just have an IT provider, you have an IT partner, which is all the difference in the world. Because an IT provider will, they give you the service that the contract requires. I'm sure they've got all the specifications and knowledge when it comes to the latest on the tech, when it comes to keeping a network up and running. I'm sure they can read a couple blogs about cybersecurity to make sure that you can feel assured that they're going to get the job done. But when you have an IT partner, it goes so much deeper than that. It's not about a contract. It's about a relationship, which shows with the simplified billing, which shows with the same day response time, which shows every time you need something from them. Oh, by the way, they're local on Sherwood. Every time you need something from them, just call them 225-330-2200, 225-330-2200, or visit 180pros.com. Like I said, not an IT provider, an IT partner. It's 180 Pros. 650. Here's your money now. Shit. Nope. Hey, Bryce, it's Brian Haldane. How are you, man? Dude, I screwed up big time. I had a standing interview at 7:15 with a local outfit called Leaders for a Better Louisiana. Isn't it all possible to move you to 8:05?
8:05. I think I could do that. I'm supposed to be at this. I'm in Midland, Texas right now. I'm supposed to be in a conference, but I'll step out.
Okay. Well, is it possible to move you up by 10 minutes to 7:05?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, then let's do that. We'll yeah, I can maneuver that segment around. We'll get you in 7:05 to 7:15. Get you right back out. We're talking AI, right?
Yeah. If there's anything you wanted to cover in particular, so our nonprofit, we work on tech and energy policy. So like data centers are right in the middle of that.
I would actually rather talk data centers than talk AI. Well, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yes, exactly. People connect them all the time. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you love to use AI, you can't hate on the data center.
Yeah, it's a trade-off thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, look, 7:05. My producer will call you, and that's where we'll run. Okay.
Okay, perfect. I'll be ready for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
It just popped up on mine too, and I didn't think that was confirmed. I had. Is my mic on? I had. I think it's a he, and that's interesting. 6:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple was the guest of the Baton Rouge Press Club yesterday. Going to dip into that in just a quick second. Hey, Bree Lynn, got a question for you.
Shoot.
When was the last time you had a bomb pop?
Oh, God.
Remember the bomb pops from the Ice Cream Man?
The red, white, and blue?
The red, white, and blue ones? Yeah.
I'm going to say college, maybe.
Okay. I think I haven't had a bomb pop since I was a kid. Like a small child, like running around when you hear the Ice Cream Man driving by.
Yes.
I don't think I've had a bomb pop in
And
forever.
wasn't it cherry flavored?
On the top, yeah, the cherry flavored. I don't know what the other two, what the white and the blue were flavored.
I was just invested.
Because by that time you were just a mess. Because
Right.
it's half melted by then. Anyway, bomb pops, a box of bomb pops are 50 cents off at Mathern's right now. Oh, sorry. During the break, I was just scrolling through all the deals on the app, the Mathern's Rewards app. And the bomb pops are 50 cents off. The bags of shrimp are $1 off. Coffee creamer, Land O'Lakes butter, like it's stacked up. I might need to knock out some groceries after the show this morning, because when you do the Mathern's Rewards app, you clip the deal all the way through, and then when you check out, boom, the automation does it for you. Everything
and with the
else,
kids out of school?
bomb pops,
Lord.
brownies are in that mix.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they got you covered. And the app's good at all three locations of Mathern's, downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, or the Kenilworth location as well. See, bomb pops were awesome, but I always went for the what was it called, the push-up, the orange sherbet push-up.
Yeah, what Flintstones? Was the branding on it for a little while?
Like a Fred Flintstone on a stick. It was like a Flintstone on a stick. Yeah.
I went after the fudge bars.
Okay.
That's what I went after.
Yeah.
The heavy chocolate.
Yeah.
It was good, but it was heavy.
Bomb pops were good. Push-ups were good. Man, I know there's one I'm forgetting about right now.
The strawberry shortcake with the crunchies on the outside.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still missing
what was
some.
the one that had the gumball in the middle of it?
Oh,
in the middle
gosh, it was a snow cone with a gumball and it was cone.
But it was such a stupid idea because you put a gumball inside of something frozen.
I know.
So
and then when you go to chew on it.
I'm pretty well convinced that product was created by dentists.
Right.
You want
to break your teeth? Come on.
Yeah, I mean that would be like a tire shop throwing a bunch of nails in the highway. Put a gumball inside something frozen.
Right.
What were we talking about?
Insurance.
That's Tim right. Temple. Tim Temple was it anyway? Bomb pops at Mathern's. Tim Temple was at the press club yesterday, and our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network have some of this story as well. It says property owners and drivers are seeing a drop in insurance premiums, but rates for commercial auto insurance continue to go up. This is a problem that we've talked about. We've had Renee Amar on about this. We've had Lana Venable on about this. We've talked about this from Lawsuit Abuse Watch and the Motor Transport Association. And Temple says the policies are carrying higher limits. Cut 10.
Those are the trucks, vehicles, delivery vans, plumber vehicles, HVAC, anything that's owned by a company and moves on wheels, that's a commercial vehicle. Those rates are still going up.
Which, in other words, means if you want to do business in Louisiana, your cost of doing business is going to go up if you've got vehicles. Temple says one legislative proposal that could help bring down commercial auto rates is a general damage cap bill. We've seen a couple of attempts at that. He says a person's medical bills and the cost to repair a damaged vehicle would still be covered, but a person involved in a car wreck could not recover damages that are not qualifiable.
The pain and suffering, if you will, the inconvenience that people get awarded these big numbers, it would put a cap on that.
And like we said, we've seen two different attempts at this. Representative Egan in the previous session, in the 2025 session, and then I believe it was Representative Chenevier in the 2026 session. Both took really, really good shots at it, but there's just a want to shut that legislation down. Hopefully a third time will be a charm. Hour 2 is next. Did I give you his number? Yes. Okay. Oh.
This story's crazy. Wasn't it this phone you wanted?
Oh.
Yeah. Come on. Hey, Bryce, it's Bree Lane. Talk with us.
Make sure that last name's Chenault.
Yeah, how do you pronounce your last name? Bryce, can you hear me? Chenault.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, perfect. Can you hear me okay? Yes, I can hear you fine. I'm going to drop you on hold. Give us like 3 minutes, okay? Okay.
Now a check on your drive on the Talk 173.
Interesting. I think I see what Carol's talking about now. If you search Talk 1073, we're not showing us live right there, but as soon as you click on Talk 1073, we are.
Okay. I never changed anything.
No, I think it's a Facebook thing. I think I see what you're talking about. Not sure that's on our end or theirs. But thanks for the heads up. We'll see what we can find. .705 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Breland producing. We've jumped up to 74 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge to start off the 7 o'clock hour as we broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. 180 Pros, not your IT provider, your IT partner. Busy hour this hour. We'll be unpacking the legislative session with Adam Knapp in about 10 minutes from right now. Baton Rouge Police Chief T.J. Morse slated to join us at 7:35. Right now, we're going to kind of pivot a little bit, divert away from top stories and trending to dive into a deeper discussion that, quite honestly, has been trending for some time right now. Bryce Chenault is with the Abundance Institute. They're about as techy as tech can get. And as AI continues to take over the world, so do data centers. Data centers need to be built. Got to have a place to house all this AI, right? Well, Bryce is on with us now. How are you, man?
I'm great, Brian. It's great to be on your program. I hope it's first of many.
All right, yes, likewise. So give us like a 60-second background. What does the Abundance Institute do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a nonprofit. You can think of us as like a think tank. We're a mission-driven organization who wants to see emerging technologies reach their potential so that you and I can benefit from them. I guess in a nutshell, we are optimists about tech, and we also work in the energy space, and our kind of guiding mantra is build what works. Too cheap to meter is an abundant energy future. That's kind of what gets us up and going every morning.
AI is obviously all over the place right now. We're all I shouldn't say we're all, most of us are learning how to utilize it, take advantage of it, make the most of it in our daily lives. But the more we do that, the more data there is on the back end, which means you need data centers. And those seem to be the things of a lot of, I think the word would be consternation. Like having a data center, everybody wants the data, but nobody wants the data center in their backyard. What are y'all finding at the Abundance Institute is the growing concerns? I mean, water usage in order to cool them down, electricity usage, their actual footprint on the ground. What are the biggest complaints about data centers from y'all's end?
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, people have, and reasonably so, people have concerns about, is this going to cause a blackout in my neighborhood? Is this going to dry up our water wells? And it's very reasonable to have those concerns. We like to try to put those things in context. Any of your listeners are welcome to go to this website that we're building right now. It's publicly accessible. We just don't have all the states active, and we'll have Louisiana soon. But it's datacenteratlas.org. You could click around in it. You could see, like, if there was going to be a data center in my backyard, what might that mean for property tax revenue? What might that mean from job creation? What might that mean for water use or energy use? And you could start asking questions based off that information. On the waterfront, I've tried to dig into this quite a bit, and I try to put things in context. So there's a very common phrase, like every time you use AI, you're using a bottle of water or something like that. So I put some numbers together for you, Brian, to put things in context for your listeners. So 300 ChatGPT searches, that might be something that a lot of people are familiar with. The estimates are that's about a gallon of water. So we'll use that as a metric. The creation of one hamburger. So if you were, doing a barbecue in your backyard and on your grill, that one hamburger takes about 660 gallons of water. The pair of blue jeans in your dresser takes about 2,866 gallons. And a smartphone that everybody uses today takes over 3,000 gallons of water to build. So it isn't so much that they do use a lot of water, data centers. They actually use, though, there's more water used in the powering of the energy that drives data centers than in the water used to cool them. But even put it in further context, let's say we tripled the amount of data centers. So in a hypothetical future tomorrow where there's 3 times as many as there are today, that would still only be about 10% of the water used at golf courses, 10% of the water used in aluminum manufacturing, and a very, very, very small sliver of what we use for corn in the country. So yeah, that addresses the water issue. And again, it's not so much that you should ignore the water usage. It's that, proper context. Let's put these into scale in things that make sense. On the energy side, I like to point to Loudoun County, Virginia as an example of this, because people are like, hey, if this gets built, my bill's going to skyrocket. And I certainly wouldn't want to say that could never happen. Evidence suggests that isn't the case across the country. But if we use Loudoun County, Virginia as an example, they've got the largest concentration of data centers in the world. One would expect that if you were going to see a spike in energy prices, it would be there. But Loudoun County, Virginia residents pay the national average in their utility costs. But they also have something in the ballpark of 50% of the county tax revenue is from these data centers, and property taxes relative to their neighbors are like 25% lower. Wow. So those are some of the context. And that doesn't mean that, build a data center on every street corner, but it does mean that there are trade-offs to everything in life. If there's anything I learned from Thomas Sowell, the great economist, there are trade-offs to everything, but and we should approach data centers the same way. Ask probing questions. Maybe there's a regulatory reform that addresses a local concern that's important, maybe regarding noise, how and when and where water is used. And but we should find ways to build them, because they are assets in a lot of ways.
They are. And what I find amazing is that we're all using AI more and more. And the more adapted we get to AI, the more we dig our heels in against the data centers. It's like you need one to have the other. In fact, there is a political commercial running right now that is an anti-data center political commercial that was built out of AI. And there's levels of irony right there, man. It's just it's
funny.
too good. Some of the proposals that I want to know if these are like so out of left field that they're completely impossible. Putting data centers underwater, is that a thing?
So I don't know. I've listened to people about that. Maybe your next question might be sending them out to space.
That is exactly my next question.
Those questions are beyond me from an engineering understanding and standpoint. I would say possible, yes. Degree of difficulty seems hard from the folks that I've listened to. So hard for me to say, but I'd say anything's possible.
Well, my concern there would be like if you're putting it underwater and because you want to control the temperature of the data center, wouldn't you be raising the temperature of the water?
Yep, that is potential trade-off that you make. And on a heat point, another great example that I found, this isn't over in Denmark. I forget the location exactly, but one of the data centers that they built over there, the excess heat, just like your car radiator, that's what it's there for, to deal with the excess heat that your car engine generates. They took the excess heat and are dispersing it into homes and lowering people's energy bills in the winter in Denmark, which I'm like, why don't we do that? And there's a lot of utility regulations that get in the way from doing something like that. But that points to like a win-win-win scenario. And that's how I like to try to approach these things. Like, how can I turn this potential negative into a positive? And that's an example from, another country that we could learn from.
Got just a minute or two left with Bryce Chenault from the Abundance Institute. Want to ask you about the evolutionary process of the data center. Because like it or not, we're still on the front end of this. There's still a lot more learning to go. What is the likelihood that 5 years from now, what it takes to run a data center is a lot more efficient than what it is today?
Yes, absolutely. And to that exact point, the assumption that I was making with if we were to triple the amount of data centers, that's assuming like no improvement in efficiencies or technological gains or other alternative ways in order to cool them. And it is going to become better. The chips are improving in their functionality all the time. There is so much incentive in the marketplace for these industries to get it right, and I think they will. Another point I wanted to raise real quick, I know it's a couple hours north from where you are, but up in Richland Parish, the amount of sales tax revenue generated during the construction phase of a data center up there is resulting in teachers' 13th paycheck being much larger than it otherwise would be, because Richland Parish decided this, any excess sales tax revenue in a given year gets to go to the teachers as a form of a bonus payment. And so again, that's like a potential, economic development win in your local community.
No, it is. We're seeing a lot with that the Meta data center up just outside of Monroe. We've got another one on a much smaller scale coming in West Feliciana Parish through HUD 8. So we're experiencing this in real time. We get to be a part of this experiment, and it's we went through a lot of the myth busting with the West Feliciana Parish president about the HUD 8 one, and there's a lot more fear than there is fact, to be sure.
Yeah. Yep.
In the meanwhile, you know what? I'm looking at the clock, man. We are straight up out of time. Can I get you back real soon? We were supposed to talk a little bit about legislating AI as well, and I'm looking at the clock, and we're just out of time. Can I get you back real soon so we can have a follow up on the AI end?
I would love that. And if folks want to dig in more, datacenteratlus.org. We also have another website, aiopportunities.org, which it's just repeated examples of how people are using AI in the real world to make our daily lives a better place when it comes to treating cancer, diagnosing heart risk, fixing leaky water infrastructure, you name it. There's all kinds of cool things that people are doing in the world.
So much more than just writing term papers. Bryce Chenault of the Abundance Institute. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Quick break. We got Adam Knapp up next. Here, can you kill my mic? There he is. Is my mic still off?
Debbie wants to know how much carbon is released from the centers.
I'm not an expert on that, but I think the carbon footprint would be based off of the energy to power it. So it would depend on A, the size of the center, and B, what the power company is doing to fuel it. So 717 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We're a couple minutes behind schedule right now, so let's get back on schedule. Adam Knapp with Leaders for a Better Louisiana is on with us to recap the legislative session. Adam, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm great. Good morning.
Good morning. Glad to have you on here. I have been saying thus far that while this hasn't been a big headline session, I think 2 to 3 years from now, we're going to start to find out more got done than we thought on like a surgical level. What's your takeaway?
Oh, I totally agree. I think while there was a lot of, it started out as kind of a slow roar before redistricting really kind of threw a wrench in the whole discussion. But behind the scenes, a lot was already getting done. We went into session as an organization really worrying about the state's workforce and the capacity to keep up with the growth that's happening in the economy over the last 2 years. It's been impressive. And to try to keep up with that, we thought, well, there's a unique opportunity to try to help the state do some things that maybe needed to get done a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And 3 of those that got done that I think are kind of almost like a 3-part harmony song here. The state created a division to focus just on business workforce needs. Something that Mississippi does, Virginia does, Florida does. A lot of other states really created something like this. And the businesses that have experienced those in other states really raved about how helpful they are when you have, hey, I've got a shortage of 10 people in my small business. What do I do? That somewhere in your community, there's a team that's just thinking about how businesses look across the landscape of our colleges and universities, through all the training funds, and help you stitch together something that works for your business. We think that's going to be a huge thing. It's going to take a while to set up, and it probably sounds small and bureaucratic in the short run, but I think in the big run, in the long run, it's going to be a huge part of the state helping address that. And the other big thing that they've talked about, Brian, for like 20 years, it feels like, is that we have a lot of state workforce boards. They're all run kind of differently. The governor kind of came out in January with an executive order talking about consolidating all of those under one common board. The existing board that's overseeing workforce but really has no authority or limited authority, and that the legislature passed that. We thought that would be a big political lift when it started out, and then there was a lot of coordination and discussion and partnership with parish presidents to think through how that would work. I think those are going to be things we're going to look back and say that was hard to do, important to do, and has the ability to make sure that millions of dollars are better spent toward the needs of employees as well as to assist businesses that are trying to fill those gaps.
Adam Knapp from Leaders for a Better Louisiana is on with us, talking about the session that was. Adam, you talk about that restructuring, how we're training the workforce. My favorite thing about that was a lot of this is going to involve taking skills that already exist and just slightly pivoting them for tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a program out there that folks may not know a whole lot about, but as the former head of the community college system used to refer to it, it's tops for old folks. Yeah. It's the way that you go get some funding to help you retrain in your career. That program is called the M.J. Foster Scholars Program, and Mike Foster, the guy who's named after our governor from around the turn of the century there at 2000 or 97 to 2003 as he exited. During that period, he really launched the community college system and this idea that we really need to have a modern workforce. And that program has now gotten an additional substantial investment, $25 million again this year to try to help folks with retraining across the state.
The when you talk about the MJ Foster program, that's on the retraining side. What about on the workforce development side from grade school, high school, all the way up through college? There's a better adaptation to make sure that you learn about a trade before you're even a senior in high school.
Well, this was a bill we're particularly proud of. Sheree Blanchard on our team did a lot of research to see how other states have been doing this. Found that there's a law on the books that says we should be starting career education in middle school, but it was very, very thin, brief description of what that should look like. And so we worked with some authors in the legislature to think through what that could be if expanded. The vision is that we should have introduction to career exploration while we're still in middle school, which is happening, by the way, in a lot of middle school districts across the state. But this gives some more structure to how to bring in employers, when to bring in employers, what industry sectors should we be focusing on. And then that helps you lean into high school, that as you're kind of passing from middle school to high school, there'll be a much clearer path to know, all right, now I've been exposed to some of these ideas. Now let me start thinking about my course curriculum that I take in high school. If I want to go straight into the workforce out of high school, what are my options out there? In addition to the reading and math and social studies skills that I need to gain, what I also need to make sure that I can have access to while I'm thinking about that career trajectory that I'm on, so that my counselors know how to talk to me about that. There's also a big focus that we launched separately in I'm looking forward to in an effort to plan for something for next year, which is an ongoing expansion around high school internships and the opportunity for apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeships heading into the workforce, so that you're getting some real experience at employers as part of your learning process. And that is going to be another key piece of this. So you can imagine kind of going from middle school all the way through kind of work-based learning in high school into career.
Yeah, I was hesitant to get on board with the, learning careers in middle school part, because who the heck knows what they want to do in middle school? Everybody wants to either be, a professional baseball player or an astronaut at that point. But when you start to, when you start to take on general concepts, you can start to learn at a very early age. Hey, I'm good with my hands. Hey, I like to build things. Hey, I like the tangible visual results of seeing, a job in front of me accomplished. Like, those types of things can grasp very, very well. And then when you start to re-implement things like, learning how to, I always go back to, if you're learning how to balance your checkbook, if you're learning any basic economics in high school, then you could see the value and trade-off of working quicker rather than putting yourself through college when you're not going after a career that you really wanted in the first place.
That's right. And those planting seeds, I mean, think about it. We know what our, parents and our parents' friends exposed us to. And this gives you a chance to have a little bit more structure of things you might be introduced to. And if you're just planting those seeds of curiosity, that might give you some thoughts about, if I could do that, maybe I just need to start kind of considering what that is, asking more questions. And that middle school is just really about planting those seeds.
Yeah.
Hopefully that then when they get to high school, they're more prepared rather than waiting till high school to start planting those seeds.
All right, that's all on the workforce front. Over on the economic development side, tell me about this $125 million for a high impact jobs program.
So you may remember last year, the legislature really thought about the way that we have our tax incentives for economic development set up. And they chose to eliminate over 20-year program called the Quality Jobs Program that a lot of employers have used, been incentivized when they've added jobs. These are typically higher wage jobs. The legislature has moved from that and sort of phasing that out to replace it with something that's more of a annual cash-based program, where instead of having this big ticket unknown expense for the state government to create something called the high impact jobs, which focuses parish by parish to try to have anything that's getting an incentive, any company that's getting incentives should be creating wages that are higher than the parish wages currently. And that program is what got $125 million. It was created last year. No appropriation was put toward it. The state has been doing a great job of using that program to help promote new investment in Louisiana. And then that now is going to be something that has to receive an annual cash appropriation. This is the first demonstration of that need by putting $125 million into that program and that fund. Employers who are hearing this, if you're planning expansions, I think it's important to think about how that tool might be used as an investment or an incentive to kind of try to create additional growth opportunities. So that's a huge deal. It was an unknown coming out of last year how that appropriation would work, and it was kind of a promise fulfilled by the legislature to do that. The other big thing I'm sure you're going to ask about is the SITES program.
Oh, yeah.
The SITES program now has been launched. It was given $150 million last year, received an additional $50 million this year, Brian, and that is going to be a total of $200 million Louisiana has put into investing in sites when it had barely ever invested anything prior to last year into site development around the state. And we've really seen the advantage of having that program to start getting sites ready so that we can market them to the rest of the country, to companies for investment. And that site readiness factor is a huge factor in companies deciding to make new investments in Louisiana. So real confidence building signal from the legislature that they believe in what the state is doing right now.
Adam, I tend to remember that, like, maybe back during the Jindal days, wasn't there an emphasis on fast site, like a similar program back then? Did that fall to the wayside, or did it just never come to fruition?
It's a great question. So what happened in that era was a recognition that we needed to certify sites so that we figured out all the engineering flaws or challenges that different pieces of property would have. That program really launched the readiness program of site development in Louisiana. And Louisiana certified tens and hundreds of sites around Louisiana where they spend a lot of money getting engineering studies to make it so that you could come in and any investor could know exactly what was happening. What we saw, Brian, is that when you found flaws with those sites that they really weren't ready and somebody needed to spend some money to get the sites ready, there was nothing next. And so you saw a lot of sites that were passed over just because they had one or two, three problems that needed to get fixed. And so those parishes, those cities got passed over for investment because their sites weren't ready. And so this is really the next thing that needs to happen, is to really start making really significant public-private partnership capital investments into these sites. That's what this is. And other states have been doing the same. They went from certification to significant amounts of investment in the sites in their states. And we are just now really getting in the game, but it's great to see we are.
No, it is. I mean, I could have sworn I remember that from like back in the Stephen Moray days.
Yeah, that's right. That's
so,
exactly right. That's when that started.
Push pause for a decade and get back at it. In the meanwhile, we're just straight up out of time. Conversation's not over, but the segment is. Adam Knapp, always appreciate the time, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. We're at 7:30 at Talk 107.3 FM. Baton Rouge Police Chief T.J. Morse is next. I thought I remembered that, and I did. Oh, let me get up. Oh. You say you doing all right? Yeah. Good deal. I still love having a beard, like training academy and stuff, but
they made you shave it.
No,
they didn't make, like when I was teaching at the training academy, I used to have it. I used to save it when I have it, like there were some trainees in. Now growing out a little bit, but I'll shave it back because I don't really like being in Class A uniform with it.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't like how it looks.
All right. You look fine.
Surprising. Some people love it, and some people are like, "You should not have a beard." People have very,
I think that's old school.
Yeah.
Why?
People have very polarizing opinions. It's interesting.
I think it can look very classy if you trim it. Yeah.
But yeah, you're not Willie Robertson.
I mean, if you let it grow out and
yeah, and you got the neck thing going,
Yeah.
Right?
And you know, take care of it, baby. I know oilfield guys, when they do their their safety and all that, they can't have all that. I think when they fly out, they got to shave, something like that.
Yeah. Fire department doesn't let them have it because they talk about like wearing a mask, like going in fire.
They have to clean.
Fail like the seal testing and stuff for
Yeah, that makes sense.
gas mask.
Also, hair is flammable.
Skin is too, though.
Hey, your face on fire, man. Well, yeah, but like skin has moisture built into it a little bit.
Yeah, doesn't singe as easy as hair.
So which one do you want to start with?
Wherever you would like to go. You're the expert.
Okay. So I said drones, recruitment, and I can't remember what the other one was.
We have on for the council tomorrow to accept money for Homeland Security task force. Almost $1.2 million.
I didn't realize that was this week. I thought that was already done.
It was for introduction 2 weeks ago, and they vote on it tomorrow night. A lot of people hear Homeland Security and they automatically think ICE, which this is not. This is all about violent crime and guns and gangs. And,
yes.
And that's actually so we've had officers on task force forever, but this is the first one that they're pushing out across the country model to put HSI, ATF, DEA, all the people in Marshall's office, all of them in one office with local, state partners working as a task force.
Why is it taking so long? Like that level of communication should have been around forever.
Everybody's like in their silos, trying. But
yeah.
This is, hey,
I don't understand.
Let's put everybody together. We've been such good partners with them before, and we already kind of had a similar model since I've putting our special investigations thing together. They were like, hey, we want to do it in Baton Rouge.
Okay, then we'll do drones first, then that. Then I got to go down to Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office about 2 weeks ago. I got to look at their drone program.
Drones is first responder stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's the wave of the future for sure.
Yeah. So I want to kind of gauge where we are and where we can be and what it takes to get there.
Mm-hmm. Loving money.
Well,
how much do you love me to spend money?
Well, that's true. But are there creative ways to take care of that don't have to come out of BRPD's budget?
Mm-hmm.
Can individual crime prevention districts pick up the tab?
I think that's the wave of the future. Kind of like, 15 years ago, we didn't have license plate readers like we do now, right? And now they're everywhere. And
which, by the way, is my mic on? .736 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is time to pivot and bring in Baton Rouge Police Chief T.J. Morse. Joins us about once a month. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. We got a lot of ground to cover. I want to talk recruitment a little bit later on. Y'all got an item in front of the Metro Council tomorrow night we need to get to as well. But I want to start off in the sky. I want to start off with the drones. I know you and I have talked about it briefly in the past, that we're on our way to having a drone program. So bring us up to speed. Where are we with the drone program?
Yeah, so drones, when you're looking at force multiplier and using technology to help out and make things safer and more efficient for the officers on the street, it really is the cutting edge of technology and where we're headed. We have a pretty robust drone program right now. Of course, technology is always changing, and we're looked at improving as well. But we have everything from little small drones that can, you can put on a VR headset and send them into a house before the SWAT team goes in there to make things safe for the suspect, for the team before they enter, to get a little bit bigger. We got about 30 officers, just regular patrol officers that are certified with FAA compliance to have them in their cars. And so they can take them out of their unit and throw them up at a moment's notice. All the infrared capabilities and things like that. So everything from a missing person to a suspect that's fled and might be hiding in backyards under bushes, we can find them with that heat signature technology. And then go even bigger. We have ones that we take out for special events, parades, LSU games, doing everything from security to just monitoring traffic, foot traffic, vehicle traffic. And then to our newest one, our big 16-foot wingspan fixed wing drone that is kind of, taking the place of our helicopter program, can stay in the air for 4 to 5 hours, 60-mile radius, all these kind of things. Again, just bigger events and things like that, just kind of be over and patrolling the city.
That covers a wide range. It does, because you're talking about, from a simple eye in the sky perspective, just keep an eye, like you said, keep an eye on parades and whatnot. But when it comes to being a force multiplier, getting to a location quickly, I think is important. As the drone program continues to evolve, let me give you a backstory here. I got to take a look at Jefferson Parish's drone program. They've got right now, they've got 27 different locations, remote locations throughout the parish where they can launch a drone from said. They're back in like the crime center, like they're back at headquarters, right? They can launch a drone from a different location and put that drone up to where you're already on scene from where a call came in. Like, let's say, for example, somebody lives in Sherwood, okay? And like, let's say there's a call that comes in, Old Hammond at Sherwood, something was going on at the Sonic, all right? Well, police headquarters is over there by Airline, but if there's a drone right there by Sherwood, drone goes up at the time the call comes in, so the amount of time it would take to get from point A to point B gets reduced greatly because the drone already has eyes on them. Is that something that would be even attainable here?
Oh, 1000%. We've looked at that, and gone and seen people across the country. It's definitely the wave of the future, looking at that DFR, as they call it, or drone as a first responder. And we've even gone to as far as looking at mapping where we could put them. And for like us, it would make sense to put them on the roofs of the fire department, their buildings, or EMS, those kind of stations, because they're very much spread out. They have the model where they have to have coverage and response time. So they have, those fire stations and EMS stations spread all throughout the city. And so we've looked at that, and really just comes down to money and, how we're going to fund it. But I think that, as time goes on, it's going to be more feasible and more affordable, and something that we're going to continue to look at. Talking about, how many license plate readers and crime cameras we have across the city. And, 10 years ago, that was unheard of, how many we have. And I think this is just the next piece of using that technology. If we can send a drone there that quick and get eyes on it and see if it's going to happen, one, maybe we don't have to send an officer at all. If it's just a report of something in the street and now it's gone. And so we save that officer getting over there. But second, we get a drone there quicker that can put eyes. And now we have somebody at the real-time crime center watching it, relaying that info to the officer, so the officers know what they're getting into before they even get there.
Right.
So it's a great premise. It's something we're very, very, very interested in. We've been having talks. There's several companies that do it, and we've been having talks with them. And it really just comes down to getting money in the budget to be able to afford something like that.
Is there a possibility of these budgetary items being creative to where, hey, let me just give you an example, is if, like, let's say someone hypothetically was on the Sherwood Forest Crime Commission and hypothetically,
I think we know a guy.
Hypothetically, I might want one in Sherwood Forest to be that force multiplier, that drone as a first responder. Would this be something that individual neighborhoods could take on their own back?
Very possible. I mean, I think it's good to think outside the box like that. We did something very similar with the license plate readers, and kind of did private public partnerships to get those up, and as many of those as we have up. So I think the drone as first responder is kind of the next step, and we could probably do private public partnerships to work on that. But also knowing on the back end, we have to have officers that can operate them, and officers to be able to staff the real-time crime center 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Also important.
Right. And we're positioning ourselves now with the pay raise and the interest in recruiting. You can segue that for you, right?
Yes.
That I think we're in a good place. We're going to be able to start hiring a lot more officers before the end of the year, and then rolling into next year where we're going to be able to really beef up those areas.
I've seen the numbers, and the numbers bear out, and they prove they arrest rates get higher because you're not leaving headquarters blind. You already know exactly where you're going.
Yep.
So you know where you're going,
it.
what you're looking for within seconds as opposed to minutes. And safety improves as well because you're not flying up airline highway at 100 miles an hour. You don't have to because there's already eyes on the scene.
Yep.
So increase arrest rates, increase safety. I haven't seen conviction rates on the back end of that, but that's a whole other story. But the first two numbers are showing great positivity, and they look effective. So look, I'm sold. If I can
we're definitely sold on the drone as first responder program. DC Noel, who over operations and real-time crime center and all that kind of stuff. We scheduled to fly out to California to visit and see all that kind of stuff. So we're definitely sold on the idea. It's just seeing how we can get those monies, if we can get some grants or earmarked kind of money to start making that happen. We're a year or 2 years off of $12 million budget decrease, and so
and
we're trying
drone as a first responder is great, but
trying
first
to make it
responder is
happen.
even better.
Trying to make it happen for sure. You don't have to sell us. We're sold on the idea, and I think it's good. I think we continue to get pushed back, and there's some people out there that are kind of resistant to the idea of the drones. They're like, oh, you're not going to use them to violate people's privacy, but there's a lot of safeguards that go into that. The camera faces forward as it's flying out and then only goes down when it gets on scene, and every mission is logged. And so why somebody calls us, hey, why did I see a drone flying over my house? And we can tell you exactly why. And, it's all done.
Because there was a guy in your backyard. That's why.
Yeah.
That's it. We got BRPD Police Chief T.J. Morrison with us. So talk about money coming in and coordination. We're going to talk recruitment in a minute, but Homeland Security, the Metro Council has an opportunity tomorrow night to hear you all out and make a vote on a pretty significant program.
Yeah. So we've had officers, assigned to different, all the alphabets from the federal government, all those agencies, HSI, FBI, DEA, ATF, Marshal's Office, everybody forever. And we work really, really well with our federal partners, being the capital city of Louisiana. What we have right now is Homeland Security. They have this new initiative where they want to give us almost $1.2 million to renovate some unused space in our headquarters building, about 7,000 square feet. Nice to make about where 50 people, task force officers, could work out of. And so in that office, you would have HSI, ATF, DEA, FBI, Marshal's Office, all those federal partners, states, us, and even surrounding parishes. That sole purpose would be going after gun and gang violence and violent crime inside the city limits of Baton Rouge. It's a first of its kind program, like kind of a pilot thing in the entire country. I love being first in things, especially things like this that are important and cutting edge. And so when we're looking at the gun and violent crime issues in Baton Rouge, it's going to give us another piece to go after them. To go after those criminals. I think it's been proven time and time again. If we can, we have a shooting scene. If you have people walking around with raid jackets that say FBI, DEA, ATF, that kind of thing on the back of them, the criminals take notice, right? Yeah. I think does a lot of things preventive wise, a lot of things solving wise. When you talk about convictions, we can take some of the load off the Hill or Moore, the 19th JDC, by sending some stuff to the AG's office and some stuff to federal court when we have all those partnerships going on. So we're excited about it. A lot of people hear, oh, Homeland Security, why are you getting in? And they immediately think ICE. This is not that. This has nothing to do with immigration. This is, when you look at it, they have ICE, Border Patrol, and then now they have HSI, which is basically like DEA, ATF, FBI, all combined into one. And they're really just solely focused on violent crime, gangs, guns, and Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge Police Chief T.J. Morrison with us. I meaning to ask, because, ever since the old woman's hospital became police headquarters, how much spare space do y'all have? Because I know most of what y'all do is over in what used to be the physician's tower, and then you've got the old hospital as well. Like, how much spare room do y'all have?
Yeah, so kind of a misconception. Really, the only thing we're in is the physician's tower. The rest of that is city parish property. The second floor is kind of unused, and we take advantage of that as training space, like with for officers it's good space to do some training. First floor, they have the clerk of court's office. They also have the LSU Ag Centers down there. The library maintenance division has offices down there, and they're right now building out a space for register of voters. So all that kind of in that area, the big towers, where the
big round
baby,
ones, the old
there's
hospital.
nothing there. There hadn't been anything there since.
Why did you drive by? It's like a
2014.
Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, so I think they're looking at trying to roll with ideas on what to do with it, whether they can refurbish it or just knock them down and build other office space there.
Well,
so it's just unused space right now. But what we're talking about is actually in that physician's tower.
Yeah,
is the unused space that we're going to build out for our task force.
So you got leftover space in physician's tower.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay. You forget about just how long ago y'all were right around the corner over off Mayflower,
right?
And that building's still standing. Can you believe it?
Yeah, they put some money in and really fixed it up over there.
Man, that was rough when that was police headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the upgrade, y'all still got room to grow. All right, recruitment. Where are we at right now since the raise was kicked in?
Yeah, we're doing well. They've been very busy over there in the recruiting office, doing pop-up events, and follow them on Facebook if you haven't. But if you're looking to get in law enforcement, Baton Rouge Police Department is the place to come. We're the best at training, best at technology, as we talked about. And now our money's there to match it. Our last lateral academy, which, lateral academy is people that have already been post-certified and they've been working for other police departments.
Mm-hmm.
We've been average about 3 or 4 people. Our last one had 3.
Okay.
We're starting another lateral academy in middle to end of July. Had 19 folders come across my desk so far for people applying, looking to approve.
Wow.
So a big difference just right there for other police officers. And we're seeing similar things for people who have never been officers before.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have academy starting in January. So if you want to join, if you're looking to get in law enforcement, want to be part of it, now's the time to apply, because we got to do background checks, physical assessments, all that kind of stuff. We're putting out open houses and chances to get prepared for the physical assessments, talk to a strength and conditioning coach on how to get yourself in shape so that you can be prepared for that physical assessment. And we're going to start that academy in January. We're looking to hopefully have 40 trainees in that academy, which would be awesome.
Yeah, I remember was it last December you'll have to cancel one.
Mm-hmm.
So complete 180 on that front, both with the signing class and the transfer portal.
100%.
That's good news. What do recruits do between now and the training? Are we able to get them on payroll to kind of get them moving in the right direction, or do they have to just hold out?
Yeah, really not able to get them on payroll because of just civil service laws.
Sure.
You have once you hire them, you only have 1.5 years to confirm them, and so we don't want to hire them too early and then not work out.
The employment starts with the training academy.
It starts with the training academy, but unlike a lot of other places, some places you go in other states and other areas, you don't get paid at the training academy. We pay you to attend the training academy. Some states you have to pay. It's like college; you have to pay to even get certified to be a police officer. Different here. We actually put you on payroll, pay you to get that training to come work for us.
Very cool stuff. He is Baton Rouge Police Chief T.J. Morse. Always appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you very much, Brian.
Yep. We're coming up on a quick break. In fact, we got 30 seconds to the break, which is enough time for me to remind you that the Rad Dad is back. Father's Day is just around the corner, and Rad Dad is here for you. Citizens Bank and Trust gets together with us every year for Rad Dad. It's this simple. Take a picture of dad doing dad things. What does that mean? I don't know. Cutting the grass, wearing Crocs with socks, showing up to the ball game, whatever the case might be. You upload the pics at talk1073.com, and you are entered to win a stack of prizes, courtesy of the folks over at Citizens Bank and Trust. Rad Dad is back. Take advantage of it while you still can. All right, quick break. We're coming back next.
Rad Dad, need some of that.
All right. Awesome. You good?
Yeah, I can never have enough.
Awesome.
Like in my little gallery.
Yeah, I'm over here talking and I see like the phone coming up.
I want them both though. The actual talking pictures are always the best looking ones on them, because when you click on it, it goes this really wide, skinny shot. So.
And Brian's always like, his hand's always up, and all my photos like because he
with a pencil.
Talking with your hands, even though you're on the radio.
Yeah. Well, 1 minute. Well, yeah. I do that from time to time.
Appreciate you, man.
Always.
I really enjoy it.
Kill. Yeah, that last little line definitely could not be on air. The hell were we supposed to do here? I didn't have anything written down. Oh, shit. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think he's right in the head.
Anybody? I don't think he's right in the head.
Boy, I tell you what. Jesus. 7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Let me take a quick second to remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com. Been around since 1897 as a community bank. And when you have a community bank, you know I tell you this every day. You have a banker. And it's not just having a place to put your money, a place to take care of your money. It's about having someone who's on your team to make sure that you are headed in the right direction. Whether you're talking about saving, whether you're talking about borrowing, for what's next, saving for what's next, investing for what's next. They've got you covered at landmarkbankla.com. Been a community bank since 1897. If you want to see if they're in your community, visit landmarkbankla.com. Hit the little About Us drop tab. You'll find locations and hours right there. If they're in your community, they are your community. landmarkbankla.com. We got just a couple minutes before news at the top of the hour. I want to make sure that when I do this story, we have the proper amount of time to give it room to run. You're going to see a story developing over the next few days. And the Red Eye is the one who's actually out on it in front, as far as reporting on it's concerned. I was getting some background on this yesterday. But here's the long and the short of it. Let me tap into the Red Eye, which, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the Red Eye yet, fantastic new local news source. A new local news source. We need more local news. And the Red Eye, J.R. Ball, Mukul Verma, they put this thing together. They've been out for a couple months now. And the way it stands right now is every morning, it's just before showtime, I get an email, and you'll get an email as well. Comes out in the 5 o'clock hour every morning. And within that email, there could be a handful of stories that they're working on personally. And story number one today, lawsuit questions St. George's existence. So LRK LLC filed suit Monday in the 19th JDC against the city of St. George that goes far beyond a zoning dispute, alleging the new city may have no legal authority to govern at all. Per the Red Eye, they say why this matters. If LRK prevails, the legal foundation of everything St. George has done, every zoning decision, every tax collected, every contract signed collapses. So in May, there was a challenge to St. George's decision to classify the Klein-Peter tract of land that's, I believe it's around I-10 at Pico, as mixed-use community under the city's new zoning framework. Well, Klein-Peter has a problem with that, so that's what they're challenging. The lawsuit arrives amid growing tensions between St. George and the development community over the city's sweeping zoning overhaul. The existence of St. George question is all about when was St. George's date of incorporation. And anything dragging the feet on that end affects everything else. The existential question of St. George is not really a question. It's just a matter of when was the date that was actually put on it. As I continue to read into the story, LRK alleges St. George might not legally exist as a municipality. The argument centers on a specific requirement in Louisiana law that a district court must enter an order declaring the precise date that a municipality becomes incorporated. Well, at this point in St. George's existence, there's about a dozen dates you could pick and choose from the day the petition was filed to the day that it went to the polls to the day that they first opened up City Hall. You name it, there's a handful of dates that you could pick along the way. It could be Dustin Yates' birthday for all I care. This is a movement of the people, by the people, and for the people that has happened. Trying to undo it is just silly. Now, I will say this on St. George's behalf. The fact that you see this many zoning questions in such a short period of time tells me that they are sitting on gold out there in St. George. Blemishes aside of what they're getting right and what what they might be missing on, people want to be a part of this. That's why you've got so many zoning questions to begin with. The future is out there. So we'll have the latest on that story as more develops. Clayton's going to text you. Bryce wants a clip of the interview. Okay. Cool. Yeah, he was good. All 3 interviews in the 7 o'clock hour were awesome. What's Bonnet? I'm too old.
How old is the cow?
I think 35, maybe 39. For a new officer, not a transfer officer. But you're not a transfer officer either. My email shut down and I don't know why. Hey, what's happening?
It's National Crew of Tucks Day.
Really?
It's held every year on June 9th to celebrate the Crew of Tucks, which is a New Orleans Mardi Gras crew.
Interesting.
National Crew of Tucks Day recognizes all people who march to the beat of their own drum. Okay. Got you.
.806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Bree Lynn producing. We have ticked up to 78 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge to start off the 8 o'clock hour as we broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. 180 Pros, not your IT provider, your IT partner. Learn more about them at 180pros.com. Tommy Faucheux from the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association going to hop on board in our next segment. Congressman Troy Carter at 8:35, little DC Current presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Right now, though, we start off hour 3 with This Day in History.
In 1893, the interior of Ford Theater collapsed in Washington, D.C., unfortunately killing 22 people. The theater was the site of President Lincoln's assassination in 1865.
I never knew that.
On this day in history. I didn't know that. I thought it just kind of went out on its own, eventually just closed down. I did not know that either.
To Ford Theater?
No.
It's surprisingly small. And
that's
that
what I heard,
tight little
tiny.
area where, yeah, it was just they're I don't know. We see the level of Secret Service protection that the president has these days and just assume it was always like that. And if you go to Ford Theater, you're like, how in the H did John Wilkes Booth get that close?
Right.
Oh, it was close.
From what I'm told, it is so tiny where he sat up there.
Yeah.
It's just, how can you enjoy yourself being, I would be claustrophobic.
Oh, no. Wide open to the whole theater, though. It's the area behind is where it's super close.
It's how gosh. Yeah,
now, I will say this. The jump down from the balcony on the stage, that had to be a beast. That's why he broke his leg.
I know.
So shoot Lincoln, jump the thing onto the stage, yell out Sic Semper Tyrannis and get out of there. And yeah, that was not that jump wasn't well thought out. Your boy,
he's like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna jump.
I know.
Crack.
I know.
Good night. In 1943, U.S. President FDR signs the Current Tax Payment Act into law, requiring taxes to be withheld from workers' wages and paid directly to the federal government.
Okay.
This day in history. I know. So they've been doing this thing for a long time. Yep. 1973, this is cool. Legendary racehorse Secretariat won the Belmont Stakes by an astonishing 31 lengths, completing the Triple Crown in record-setting fashion.
31 lengths.
Yep. Jumping ahead to 2023, former President Donald Trump was indicted on federal charges related to classified documents, becoming the first former U.S. president charged in a federal criminal case.
Okay.
What else do you have this day?
On this day in 1983, Margaret Thatcher won re-election. Oh, and I know we all celebrate Margaret Thatcher because our Senator John Kennedy named his elliptical after her.
That's what made me think with the video. Well,
By
what
the
did
way,
he say?
so we go back. Was that on Monday we did that bit?
It was Monday.
Monday was so John Kennedy's on TikTok now. And
I love
he's
it.
filming the most inane, like it's like Seinfeld on TikTok. It's a video about nothing. He'll show you
His
little
lunch.
tidbits of his life, show you his wife's chicken salad, show you his elliptical and his dumbbells. But because they're John Kennedy, they're so unbelievably entertaining and compelling. And John Kennedy's elliptical is named Margaret.
I think for 35 seconds, he's like, I want you to meet somebody.
Yeah.
Here's my day. I'm going to show you my guests. And then it's elliptical. Oh, God. All right. Jumping ahead to birthdays. Today we have Johnny Depp, 1963. We have Natalie Portman, 1981. Michael J. Fox, 1961. And that's all I have that's notable. What about you, Brian?
Les Paul, 1915. Cole Porter, 1891. And those two guys from the musical end.
Let's see. So notable deaths, he was one of the greatest writers in history, known for A Christmas Carol. Charles Dickens, 1870 on this day in history.
That's the one I have.
I'm thinking, hang on, I just had something now I can't find it. That's all I have that's notable. National Day today. You're going to enjoy this one, Brian. I was happy to stumble across it. National Crew of Tux Day.
How did Crew of Tux get a national day?
I have no idea, but it's credited by 4 websites.
All right, I'll take it because you know what I had on this day in 1934. Donald Duck made his first appearance.
I had that too.
So it's also National Donald Duck Day.
Crew of Tux has to top it.
I think Crew of Tux definitely tops it.
One of the websites says National Crew of Tux Day recognizes all people who march to the beat of their own drum. I love it.
All right, we can roll with that. It's 8:11 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Give me just a quick second to remind you about One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. Of course, you're going to spell it out. ONE. OneBathAndClosets.com, or you can skip the website. Call David Duvall directly at 400-8005. Of course, it's 225 area code. I love telling the story because it's like sometimes when you make a major investment, you end up with buyer's remorse. Christy and I, our house was built in 1964. Our bathroom was built in 1964. We decided last year, you know what? Enough's enough. We've been messing around with having one vanity in the bathroom. We'll get this old school bathtub over here. Let's revamp this, redo it, make it a modern bathroom, make it the way we want it. And we called David Duvall and his 30 years of experience. And he came on out, showed us what was possible. We collaborated on some ideas, and he brought those ideas to life. And zero buyer's remorse. We've been nothing but thrilled with the results since putting in the two vanities, since increasing the lighting, the new floors, the new countertops, the new walk-in shower. It's all so fantastic. And by the way, has made our mornings a lot more efficient. Like getting in and out of the house in the morning, that much easier because it's not just about the beauty, but the ease of use. David he was nothing short of miraculous on this. Could not be more pleased with the results, and you can as well. Whether you want to revamp your bathroom or revamp a closet, give them a look. OneBathAndClosets.com. Quick break. We got Tommy Faucheux next.
National Donald Duck Day.
National Donald Duck Day.
Donald Duck.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, look at that.
Got a golf polo with Donald Duck on it.
Awesome.
This chair is higher than usual. It's ready for me.
Do what?
That chair has a monitor.
It does. Sometimes it'll just roll around for no reason.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Where do we want to start?
Just do the session run through. I'm gonna start with the Louisiana Energy Protection Act. This was the Guyman bill on stopping climate lawsuits. Really good. Expecting the governor to sign it Thursday. I don't know if I'll say that, but I would just say that we expect the governor to sign it. So I'm gonna lead with how important that is. And we can talk a little bit about sessions, some CCS, electricity.
Yeah, the way I teased it was sometimes it's not about the bills that pass, it's about the ones that don't.
That.
Yeah.
That was well said.
Thank you.
I totally got where you were going with that.
Hey, kill the mics for a second. The current time is synchronizing. We'll call it 8:15 and talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with it's just synchronizing. Still synchronizing. All right, how about now? Mornings with Brian, 8:15, talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We're continuing to unpack, and when 2,500 items are considered over the course of a 3-month session, it takes a while to unpack. Continuing to unpack the legislative session, this time from the perspective of the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. Tommy Faucheux is in the house with us. How are you, man?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning. We're going to take a unique perspective here. I know we want to get to the Energy Production Act, but I want to start off with the way I've been teasing the segment for since yesterday.
Sure.
Sometimes it's not about the bills that pass; it's about the bills that don't. And when it came to carbon capture, that was the case during this particular session. Could you rewind the clock for us and talk a little bit about what was proposed and why it's important that it fell short?
So I think you're absolutely right. We're dealing with the third, fourth session in a row now that we've been legislating on carbon capture. This session was overwhelmingly, the bills that were filed were overwhelmingly trying to stop all things carbon capture, a couple of dozen bills. And, it was aimed at doing everything from creating local options so that local communities could block CCS in their parishes, trying to legislate and make laws that are very sound and already, tried and true when it comes to property rights and eminent domain, trying to open up an avenue there to try and make it harder for pipeline construction, for wells to be constructed. A lot of efforts to try to stop a viable carbon capture program. I'm happy to say that almost without exception, every bill was defeated. Really a strong House Natural Resources Committee this session that really said, enough's enough. We have worked on these laws. Last session in 2025, the legislature took some significant steps, probably went further than we would have really liked, to make sure that there was a very stringent process,
right?
That industry beyond even the Class 6 permit application would go several steps further to make sure that the carbon capture program was safe, that it was respecting the local communities in which the activity was starting to be invested in. And so this year they said, look, we've done a lot. We've done a lot for several years now. Now we have bills that are just trying to, outright stop it. And we're not going to play along with that because we know that carbon capture is important to Louisiana. We know that there's more support out there than just what shows up at the Capitol.
Right.
And we want to move the state forward so that you can have not only a strong CCS program, but how many times have we talked about it? Strong manufacturing, strong low carbon oil and gas production. This is extending into the data center conversation. And so it's economic development. And the legislature this year was very clear. We do not want to get in the way of this. We believe the industry is doing it responsibly, and it's needed for Louisiana.
Well, I think we can move the previous question on things like effectiveness and safety. When the federal government grants us Class 6 permit, the federal government has said, y'all know what you're doing, do it. And then when it comes to the question of eminent domain, I don't know why carbon capture would have any different laws than everything else we've practiced business-wise in the state of Louisiana when it comes to oil and gas or any other industry out there that has pipelines.
Look, I told people we're not going to stop discussing carbon capture. We have been investing in oil and gas for more than 100 years in this state. In every legislative session, we legislate on something related to the oil and gas industry. CCS is an extension of that. And so we're going to continue to do that, particularly as projects start becoming operational. But what we can't do is treat it as something different than the traditional industry. We have strong laws in this state that protect personal property rights, that ensure due process for those people who own property, that are working with companies that want to come and invest and possibly have leases with a local landowner. That's extremely important. And look, you know what? Even as these bills were being defeated, we had an agreement with Chairman Guyman and the Natural Resources Committee that in this coming off season, if you will, before next year's session, we're going to spend some time really taking a hard look at the rules of the road, if you will, for landmen. These are the people that, on behalf of the industry, go to a local landowner and have that conversation and negotiation about leasing their land, constructing a pipeline in their community. We're going to make sure that the rules of the road for landmen are right there with other states around, other oil and gas states around the country, to make sure that we're doing it right. Because at the end of the day, we want our industry to be an industry of good actors.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we're holding ourselves to the highest standards. And so I really do. I feel like this session was a turning point for CCS. I think it was a recognition of we need to move beyond the efforts to just outright stop it and really talk about how the efforts that are moving forward. We have 3 Class 6 permits that have been issued, more, I believe, coming before the end of the year. We're going to start seeing projects become operational, and that's because this state supports it.
Well, that, and we can look no further than our neighboring states to see that they want to catch up, if not surpass us. And it's at a certain point you have to look in the mirror and say, what are we doing?
3 years ago, we were just tremendously advantaged from because we had primacy, and other states in the South did not. A session later, I can remember going to the legislature saying, hey, look, they're making a little bit of ground. They're starting to talk about applying for primacy in states like Mississippi and Texas. You got to last session, and what we started saying, hey, look, Texas is knocking on the doorstep of getting not just their primacy application submitted, but getting primacy approved.
Right.
This session, guess what? Texas has primacy, so does Louisiana.
Yeah.
The advantage continues to shrink. We cannot give up that opportunity.
100%. Talk with Tommy Faucheux from the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. All right, so carbon capture went its course, but there were a number of bills that run through your world that I think are worthy of more than just recognition. Some should be downright celebratory. Talk to me a little bit about HB 804 by Brett Guyman. This would be the Energy Protection Act.
I think the Louisiana Energy Protection Act is one of the signature accomplishments of the session. This bill, which received overwhelming support from both chambers in the legislature, that is going to very soon be signed by the governor, will on day one immediately start protecting not only the oil and gas industry, but all businesses in Louisiana from being subject to frivolous lawsuits based on climate change. And that is a trend we are starting to see happen in other parts of the country. Louisiana doesn't have any of these lawsuits yet. And once the governor signs this bill, Louisiana industry, businesses of all types are going to be protected from these frivolous lawsuits. This is a big step forward. And guess what? Once the bill is signed, Louisiana will jump to the top of the list and be a leader in protecting against these ridiculous lawsuits.
So walk us through the backstory and the parallels that brought us around to this, because you got to go back to the legacy lawsuit, the coastal lawsuit.
Sure. I mean, look, we have a history of litigation in this state that is not something we're necessarily proud of. That being said, we're trying to get past it and dig out of that, if you will. What you started to see in other parts of the country were claims being brought by individuals. And the case that received the most attention and was talked about extensively at the legislature had to do with a lady who tragically died of a heat stroke in Washington State. And her heirs brought claims against oil and gas companies in Washington, saying that the oil and gas activity that their company was responsible for led to climate change. That climate change is what made the atmosphere, the conditions hotter, that led to the heat stroke that killed their family member. What you're starting to see, and I think there's 40 plus cases in other parts of the country, is that not only were oil and gas companies being sued on the basis of climate change, it was anybody who touched the oil and gas industry.
Right.
So it was someone who used fossil fuels in vehicles to carry products. It was manufacturers who use oil and gas as feedstock or as energy. The claims they were making could extend to farmers who have diesel tractors in the field. I mean, it's why you saw here in Louisiana this great coalition we were able to build of everyone from the oil and gas industry, the chemical industry, small businesses and local chambers, the Farm Bureau, the trucking industry, the Ports Association. Everybody joined in on this because anyone who touched fossil fuels, technically, if you look at the way these cases are starting to trend around the country, could be open to a lawsuit, a frivolous lawsuit, and That would be based on climate change. Louisiana's taking a huge step forward, and I think getting ahead of this.
We're talking with Tommy Faucheux from the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. I don't know if was it you and I talking during the session. I was talking about HO4 at one point during the session, and I made the comparison to the John Grisham novel, The Runaway Jury. This is a book about a person who died of lung cancer, and this team of lawyers comes around to sue the tobacco company.
Right.
What 804 is doing would be protecting those, like if you ran like, I don't know, Be Quick or whatever, they would be susceptible to the same lawsuit. Like it just, and that's a ridiculous comparison. I understand that.
It's a good movie though.
No, it was good. Yeah, good. But John Cusack was in the movie. Gene Hackman was in the movie.
Great New Orleans movie.
Yeah, exactly. And although they did put like Causeway Boulevard and the French Quarter right next to each other.
Yeah.
Once you got past that, but no, it's the
Eating
same thing.
beignets at the red light.
What you get past the when you make those two comparisons is like when you open yourself up to the possibility of these grandiose lawsuits from anybody who can dream them up, somehow they manage to come to fruition. So this bill put the kibosh on that from the start.
Yeah, and look, I think what's important about the legislation is where it's very soundly worded to protect against climate lawsuits. What it does not do, and I think this is extremely important for the public to understand, if you have legitimate claims against an industry, a business, because they've done something that has caused you harm, we're not stopping that. There were extra efforts made here to make sure that this is aimed at claims related only to climate change. You would have some of the anti-oil and gas, anti-industry folks who we've talked about many times, like the Sierra Club, who showed up in committees to oppose this, say that this is giving industry a free pass on any and all things. Just not true. Surprise. This bill,
but there's got to be a direct correlation.
Goes directly to claims based on climate change.
Yeah, it got to be a direct correlation. You can't have. I mean, I don't want to call climate change a boogeyman here, but there's no way to get from point A to point B without just a lot of gross assumption, or point A to B to C.
Sure.
From claim to climate to the company. It's just the problem with global warming is it's global. How you could pin that on one particular entity along the way is just asinine to me. So this was a very good bill. We got about 2.5 minutes left with Tommy Faucheux. What else we got across the finish line?
So, I mean, look, we had legislation that, nothing that you would write home about because of the sexiness of it, but legislation that made sure that, oil and gas and petrochemicals are receiving this, the critical infrastructure designations to protect, from a security standpoint. When we talk about terrorism and things like that, we have critical infrastructure in this state. Oil and gas and petrochemicals are now making sure that that's part of that. The governor's workforce efforts, we supported. You had Representative John Weibel, for example, who had legislation. I remember at our annual meeting right before the session started, we had Susie Schoen, Secretary Schoen, John and others talking about, continuing to push workforce. We need a workforce for our growing industry. So some good stuff there. Also a conversation around electricity. This isn't going away. It's coming back next session as well. We know that the demand for electricity, for power, is only increasing, not only in Louisiana, but around the country and around the world. How do you power that? We're an important player. A lot of natural gas being used to provide power. We also have a lot of large industrial facilities, refineries, and chemical plants who have the capability to produce power as well. So how do we create optionality? I think that conversation started in earnest this session and is going to continue in states around the country, not just in Louisiana, but clearly is going to end up, I think, back at, whether it's at the Public Service Commission, back at the legislature next year. You're going to continue to see some work there. We were happy to be part of those conversations.
He is Tommy Faucheux with the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. And it was you said not a whole lot of sexy, but I'm of the opinion that 2-3 years from now, we're going to find that there were some surgical moves made that repaired a lot of things that need.
A lot of good work done this session that allowed us to advocate for the strongest industry in Louisiana.
Yep, absolutely. We're always appreciate the time, Tommy. Thank you so much.
Good to be here.
8:30 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We got ABC News coming your way in just a quick second. After ABC News, we'll check our local news, traffic, weather. Then it's time to dive in. It is Men's Health Month throughout June. Congressman Troy Carter has this on his radar. He will join us coming up in just a little bit. A little segment of DC Current, which is presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. That's on its way next, right here on Talk 107.3 FM.
All right.
Good stuff.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Troy's on the phone. He's not coming in.
Nah, he's on phone. I don't think he's ever come in studio.
Oh,
90% of his district is New Orleans, so
he's my guy down the river.
Morning with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Yeah, which is why I always argue that his district is not gerrymandered. The comment it is contiguous, and you have a common interest in the river. So
No, it's good. We've had good conversations with him. Good visits with him.
Yeah.
See it both sides, which is good.
He can be reasonable. He can be.
Troy is reasonable.
Yeah, he's always good conversation. He listens.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't always agree, but he listens.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk some more.
Yep,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
your
y'all. Have a good one.
Bye. Who do we have interview-wise Friday that you know of as of right now? And the reason I ask is because I'm still going to do a reel for you. Kate's just going to produce. So I'm gauging what would be the biggest. Huh?
We can skip a Friday. That's fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're breaking your neck already. Don't sweat it.
Okay. I still got to come in and trap the Jimmy. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to get that 7 a.m. appointment.
Well, I tell you, if you really have a hankering to do it, we had so many today that you could double up today.
That's
Put a
true.
second
And
one out on
schedule it.
Friday.
And
Yeah.
just schedule it.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do.
I mean,
I'll probably
we do one with
Thursday.
Tommy, one with TJ.
TJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do.
Like me getting
And just
excited
do it
about
in case you
drones.
missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'll do. And I'll schedule it for Friday to where we at least have something. Because Jim, I don't know where Jimmy's going. A label thing. And so I got to come in anyway.
Michelle texted me, kill the mics.
Oh, what are we doing? Troy Carter.
Yeah.
Oh, they're trying to get me
Trying to get you what?
Neurojust for Tiger.
Really?
'Cause
Awesome.
They want more females. And I'm like, dude, I was like, I'll suffer postpartum.
That's
So I can talk about it. Taylor was like, "You need copy from us." I said, "No."
There he is.
Hey, Congressman. Good morning. We are in commercial right now. We'll be coming to you in like a minute, okay? Okay.
.837 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is time, as we do most weeks, to check in with Congressman Troy Carter for a little DC card presented by LABI. Congressman Carter on the hotline right now. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, sir. How are you?
Doing very well as well. We got a lot of ground to cover because you have been, well, let me give you the backstory. June is Men's Health Month, and you have been doing work on a number of fronts on this overall topic within individual topics. I'm going to throw it out to you. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with the inaugural Men's Health Conference that we had just last week. As you mentioned, June is Men's Health Month, a time to break the stigma surrounding discussing men's health, both physical and mental. You know, oftentimes men are taught big boys don't cry, suck it up, you can handle it. When in fact, you know, men need to see the doctor. We need to have regular checkups. We need to check on our physical and mental health. And the notion that big boys don't cry and that we suck it up, unfortunately, ends up costing lives, costing strain on our hospitals and healthcare systems, because oftentimes the first time men see a physician is in an emergency room. And I don't need to tell you how much more expensive that is. So last week, I hosted the inaugural Men's Health Conference, which is a bipartisan men's health conference that I share with Representative Rich McCormick, a Republican from Georgia. Proud to host this event to talk about healthcare, to talk about the importance of caring for yourself, making sure that you have your colonoscopies, making sure that you have your prostate check, make sure that you are checking your diabetes, making sure that you are acknowledging that sometimes we're not okay. And maybe we need to talk to someone to help us balance our anxieties or our depression. And we know that, you know, we say, well, men's health, what about women's health? Well, women's health equally as important. And when I was in the state Senate, it helped create the very first ever women's office of women's health within the governor's office in Louisiana. But we know that women, because of the complexities of their bodies, they're accustomed to seeing doctors regularly. As young girls, all the way through adulthood, they have regular checkups. Mm-hmm. Men, on the other hand, don't. So this gives us an opportunity to just shine the light a little more on why it's important that men take better care of themselves. So that was a very important week. And then moving forward, I'll see if you want to chat about that for a second before moving to the American Diabetes Association conference that was held in New Orleans this weekend.
I do want to take one more follow-up on that, Congressman, and that is when you have, part of the Men's Health Caucus and you have the Men's Health Conference to go along with it, what rose to the top out of that conference? What were some of the primary concerns that you heard from some of your colleagues? Because it's not just a blanket thing. Obviously, some things are going to be more important than others.
Prostate cancer.
Interesting.
Prostate cancer. Because prostate cancer, if caught in time, is curable. Mm-hmm. No one should have to die. Yet, tens of thousands of people die every year of prostate cancer. And, when the things that you can't control, then it's the old serenity prayer, right? You determine how to balance that. But when there are things that you can control, like making sure that you're having prostate screening, I have co-authored the PSA for HIMSS Act, which is an act that would make those people that are in high-risk areas, categories, to be able to get free prostate screening, rather. Mm-hmm. Why do you? Because pay me now, pay me later. It's next to nothing for screening, but it's incredibly tens of thousands of dollars to treat someone once they are afflicted. Now, that's from the indigent on to those with insurance. If you catch it early enough, one, it's a heck of a lot less expensive on the system. Two, you don't have to die. But we have, again, this machismo. I'm not taking that test, and then you die.
To be clear, that test is a lot less invasive today than it was a few years ago. And anybody who's looked at the size of their doctor's hands knows exactly what I'm talking about.
That's exactly right.
It's a blood test now. It's a blood test now.
Now it's a blood test now. So it doesn't matter if he's got little hands or not.
I was trying to be gentle about that. So, yeah.
But listen, every man out there got it.
I know. It's
But the reality is, even when it was invasive,
right,
it saved lives, man.
Yeah.
Well, now you don't even have to do that. So there's no reason to not take advantage of the opportunity, get tested, stick around for your loved ones, be here, don't die when you don't have to.
So you teed up diabetes a minute ago. What's the work on that front?
So the American Diabetes Association had their Diabetes Association 2026 scientific session in New Orleans this week, and there were tons of these research doctors and clinicians and scientists and leaders in this area of healthcare professionals in town to talk about, again, one of the things that I talk about all the time, which is preventive care. Well, we know that preventive care is significantly cheaper than curative care. If I catch it before, it's less strain on the system and you got a better chance of surviving versus waiting until you're at a stage 1, 2, 3, 4, which makes it very difficult to recover from. So these are professionals who were in town talking about research, talking about prevention, talking about healthcare, how we can do a better job with healthcare policy, healthcare to address these issues of diabetes. Listen, in some parts of our towns across the country, you have diabetes dialysis centers next door to each other, like a McDonald's and a Burger King. Yeah. There's one particular portion that I know of that has 4 dialysis centers within a 1-mile radius.
Wow.
My God, what does that say about our health?
Yeah.
When they're popping up, obviously they're not popping up if they're making money, right? These are private operations that, they situate where there's clientele.
Yeah.
And so what does that say about the communities that we live in that there's that much need. We've got to reverse that. Not that I want to take any money out of the pockets of private industry, but I want people to be healthy, you know? And so if they find it so profitable to situate themselves right next door to each other, maybe we need to take a picture of that in our brain and adjust our diets, exercise, and modify our lifestyles to not make that such a profitable business.
Well, and so rewinding to where I asked you what topic came up nationally with the Men's Health Conference is if you did this regionally or just within the state or just within your own district, I would imagine diabetes would move up those charts pretty quickly because you can't throw a rock in Louisiana without hitting a family line of diabetes.
That's exactly right. And that all goes back to untreated, undiagnosed high blood pressure, people who have cholesterol issues who are untreated. So when you have prolonged high blood pressure and you aren't taking medicine for it and you're not managing it, it starts to have a negative impact on your other vital organs. Like it creates chronic heart disease, it creates diabetes, it spins off into cholesterol issues. And all of those things collectively create a walking stroke, create a walking diabetic, create a walking heart attack. You know, again, all of these things, and listen, we're in Southeast Louisiana, we like to enjoy the finer things in life. But the magic word is moderation and maintenance. So if you moderate your diet, you can have a little bit of everything, just not in excess. Yep. If you exercise, if you get your regular visits to the doctor, and if you're assigned medication, you take it religiously, you can live a long life and you can still enjoy all the wonderful things Louisiana and the rest of the world has to offer, but in moderation. So the key, prevention.
Congressman Troy Carter, our guest, this is DC Current presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Of course, DC Current, or LABI, I should say, is your state's Chamber of Commerce. Learn more about them at labi.org. Congressman, one more topic I wanted to touch on, and we've got about 2.5, 3 minutes left to get to this, is one that I think gets overlooked often because it affects such a small portion of the population. You and, who was it as well?
Alma Adams
sent out a letter talking about sickle cell funding. Less than 0.03% of 0.03, so not 1%, but 0.03% of the U.S. population is affected by sickle cell anemia. I know here in Louisiana, hell, down on the West Bank, he went to Shaw. We had a very public display of the dangers of sickle cell with LSU's own Ryan Clark when he was playing for Pittsburgh and went to Denver. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of not overlooking this, because while it's a small portion of the population, it is unbelievably important.
And it is a dreaded disease.
Absolutely.
It's a dreaded disease, and it's very painful. Mm-hmm. Just real quickly, sickle cell is, as its name suggests, the regular blood cells that are flowing through your arteries. They form a weird crescent-type shape, hence the name sickle cell. And when it attempts to flow, these cells get clogged up and cause excruciating pain to the person that is afflicted with sickle cell. So we're urging health resources and services, HRSA, to not delay critical funding for maternal and child health bureaus, sickle cell disease, newborn screening startup. Again, the central theme that you always hear me talk about is the importance of prevention. Mm-hmm. We want to ensure that these important services provided by sickle cell disease community-based organizations, or CBOs, to not lapse any delay in awarding grants that impact their services. As you imagine, people are in the pipeline to be served. You can't, if you get a lapse in funding, you potentially then stop the lapse of resources going to that affected area. What we're asking HRSA to do is to expedite and ensure that we don't have a lapse in funding, to ensure that the good work that's been going on as relates to preventive care is not in any way slowed down, deterred, or cause a lapse, which will then exacerbate a problem that we know that exists in our communities.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you're not part of that 0.03%, you just take things like your own spleen for granted, and that's it. This is another one of those. An ounce of prevention is worth well over a pound.
Well,
of cure.
and healthcare and healthcare is one of those things. Maybe it doesn't afflict you today. Maybe the next issue we're fighting for does. So healthcare, if you put it all in one basket, is important because we have this percentage on this. Excuse me, on this issue, that percentage on the next issue. But the bottom line, it all comes back to keeping people healthy, making sure that we have less strain on our healthcare system, and making sure that we're preventing these dreaded diseases becoming worse and worse, which threatens the overall healthcare of the entire system and all of our of Americans. So healthcare, prevention, early testing and detection, exercise, diet, regular checkups. All of these things lead to a healthier people and gives us an opportunity in moderation to still enjoy all that our world has to offer. But let's do so smoothly.
He said as crawfish season ends and grilling season begins. He's Congressman Troy Carter, DC Current, presented by LABI. We always appreciate the time, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
God bless you, my friend. Have a great week.
You do the same. We got one more break to go. Come back. Deeper dive into the shark alligator rule. Deeper dive into jumping off of I-310. It's coming up next. We'll see y'all. I mean, at this point, it's like John Fleming doesn't exist. Right? He was a figment of your imagination.
My God.
Use the restroom real quick. Do I have a minute?
Okay.
I'm gonna do.
What is it? Going to Lafayette? What's going on?
No, coming in from Lafayette.
Yeah.
856 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Let me take one quick moment to remind you about the folks over at NeuroJust. NeuroJust.com is the website. If it is Men's Health Month, we can also talk about men's mental health as well. If you or someone you know or love is battling with anxiety or depression and has been treatment resistant, you need to give NeuroJust a look. They think of it as physical therapy for your brain, okay? Like, say you get injured, right? And you want to take something for the pain. You go for some ibuprofen, but you're not fixing what's injured. You go into physical therapy to work that out as well, right? Same thing's true with your brain. You could take an antidepressant and sometimes they work. A lot of times they work. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you see commercials for other pills to make the antidepressants work. What is that? The antidepressant? If you want to get off that train and do the physical therapy end of it for your brain, TMS therapy, transcranial magnetic stimulation, they've got receipts, y'all. 85+% response rate is what they're working with over at NeuroJust. Learn more at neurojust.com. Follow up on Ray's traffic report right there. Problem with getting off the interstate if you're stuck in it on I-10 eastbound coming in from Lafayette. The delays start well before Highway 415. So if you're all the way back by Gross Tate, you might want to hop off there and scooch over to 90. But if you are approaching 415 and you still want to bail, it's still worth your time. It's still worth your time to hop off at 415, take that up to get to the old bridge from there. But, man, that is quite the mess. Speaking of a mess on the interstate, we've got to invoke the shark alligator rule, take you back to Sunday. And our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network have been all over this morning. A St. Charles Parish man went to great lengths to escape police, including jumping into alligator-infested waters. Trooper Kyle Wagner says during a DWI traffic stop on I-310 early Sunday morning, 40-year-old Victor Rivas ran from the vehicle he was in, jumped off 310 into the swamp.
We eventually located him just walking on the side of Highway 61, where he attempted to evade us again.
Okay. Let's start with this. 310 is an elevated interstate. You don't just hop over it like you're hopping a picket fence. You're jumping off of it takes you from 10 up to the Luling Bridge. I don't know that there's a part of 310 that comes down to the ground. That is quite the leap. My word. So he hops into the swamp and makes it up to 61. Okay, fantastic. He ran into a swampy area after troopers caught up with him a second time. That proved to be a dumb move. Wagner says at that point, Rivas was attacked.
Luckily, he was able to fend off the alligator, and he continued his attempt to evade law enforcement, but we eventually were able to bring him in with the help of the drone.
Another great example of using a drone, y'all. He was charged
off the alligator.
No, he fended off the alligator. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to fight an alligator
Yep.
for sure. You're not just going to. But my boy went in the swamp not once, but twice. And I'm going to tell you something about that stretch right there on 61. If you got kids and you're coming home from New Orleans, I recommend this. We do this all the time. Instead of taking the interstate to get out of New Orleans, yeah, it's a lot faster to get out of New Orleans on the interstate. But we'll take 61 all the way up to LaPlace because you got that canal that runs alongside it. We look for alligators every time, and we see alligators every time. Oh, they're there, and they're going to get you. We're out of here. Moon's next. My boy jumped off an elevated interstate. I want you all to understand just how stupid that is. Hang on. That story picked up in St. Charles Parish. That story ignored the part where he was on 10 by Bonneville and hit a concrete barrier, blowing out his tires, made it from Bonneville all the way to St. Charles Parish on rims. suspected of DWI? Bro. I have no idea. I mean, he had 9 offenses within this one stop, so no. I mean, you got multiple offenses right there. All right, we got to get out of here, y'all. I actually got to go handle some medical stuff. We'll see you later.